the same thing happened again. Was quite lucky. It was completely at the end.
Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's shown.
Right, perfecto. Okay, it's 9:05, so let's get it on for the last session of today. Welcome everyone at my session. I'm going to be talking about Defender and Mcas in combination with Intune. And today I'm not going to be bringing a sales pitch or a deep dive in these two components of the Microsoft stack, but it's more out of experience. We're doing a lot of projects at governments or cities or small companies. And what I've been noticing a lot lately is that a lot of companies are already implementing the Microsoft 365 stack with licensing, the business premium licenses. We're seeing a lot. E3 also, but I'm also seeing the E5 license a lot. And there are a lot of organizations and governments and cities that have multiple personas. So the high level, the C level, and IT will have an E5 license. But they all think by having, or some of them think, let me not say all, but some of them think by acquiring their license and that they are safe. But nothing more is true. So I'm gonna go over these two features tonight, Defender and Mcas. I'm gonna go over some settings, some basic settings that I think are important, and I'm gonna be providing some useful tips to help you get started with a minimal set of config, but to keep your environment safe and to activate services at least. So who am I? I'm Tim Hermie, based out of Belgium. I'm the owner, principal consultant of Fly Consulting, working together with a few of the Belgian partners, Microsoft partners. I'm a Microsoft MVP, enterprise mobility since last year. Since last month, I can also call myself a Windows Insider MVP. If you want to contact me, you can always contact me on my internet persona Cloudboy through Twitter, on my site cloudboy.be, where I'm blogging a lot, although it's been quiet lately, and on my LinkedIn. So feel free to connect. The agenda is pretty brief. We're going to go over why, real short. Defender Mcas, I have prepped a few slides, but I'm not going to be standing still a lot of time with the slides. I'm going to want to dive in the demo fast, so we can go over most of the features that I want to show. Of course, we have some time for Q&A at the end. First, why? Why do we need these features, or why should we enable them? And I don't think I have to stand still here a long time, because if we follow the news, we know that security is really a hot topic, and we have to protect ourselves. We have the Hafnium exploit from in the news the last weeks. A lot of zero-day exploits. We have the issue of shadow IT. So those are things that we can tackle with the Microsoft 365 security stack, more with Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, and with Microsoft Cloud App Security, of course. So the first part we're going to stand still is Defender, the Microsoft 365 Defender Services Suite. It consists of 3 products. Defender for Endpoint is the Defender for your devices, your laptops or your computers. We have Defender for Identity, which will be running on our domain controllers to keep our identity secure. Defender for Office 365 is, of course, the spam filter and etc. for Office 365. In this session, I'm going to be focusing on the first one, Defender for Endpoint. So what is Defender? This is, again, the whole suite. So you can see we have the identity part, Azure Active Directory, Defender for Identity, and Microsoft Cloud App Security integrate very well there. We have the endpoint part, Defender for Endpoint, email and collaboration, Defender for Office 365, and for applications, SaaS applications, or registered applications in our tenant, we have Microsoft Cloud App Security to keep that secure. What can we do? Of course, we can trigger incidents. We can do investigations, advanced threat hunting. We can consult experts from Microsoft. There are a lot of features there. I'm not going to be tackling them all. Like I said, it's not a deep dive. We're going to be focusing on the high level with some settings that I advise you to implement to keep your organization more secure. what can we do with Defender for Endpoint? We can protection level, we can prevent and block threats, malware threats, hacks, whatever. We can detect them. We can, of course, investigate, remediate. We can do this in an automation way also, auto remediation. We can do some hunting, threat analytics. And like I said, we can also, if we have the license, we can also get help from the world-class experts from Microsoft and consult their threat experts. A fancy slide from Gartner Security, Compliance and Magic Quadrants. But if we look here at the endpoint protection platform, we can see that Microsoft is really doing well on that level. The cloud access security brokers, what MCAS is, we can see that Microsoft is also not doing bad. So be aware that they're doing very well in those quadrants. What's also fun with Defender and MCAS is that it's one big ecosystem, and you'll see that in my demo also. All those features integrate well together. Most of the guys that know me well know that I'm mostly busy with endpoint management with a big focus on Intune. I'm not doing much of config manager anymore. And also these features, Defender integrates very well with endpoint management. We can configure it there. We can onboard from endpoint manager, which I will be showing you later. But we can also send some tickets or security tasks from Defender from endpoint to Intune. So if we have two teams, the security team, and they see that we have an exposure, there is an app that is outdated, or we have a security recommendation, they can trigger a remediation, and it will pop up in a security task. So the endpoint team can pick it up. It's also very nice, but I'll be showing this also later. Like I said, I won't be talking lots in the slides, so we're going to go rushing through them so we can dive in the demos. What is MCAS? First thing to know here is that we're living in a cloud world these days, or a hybrid cloud world, if you want to say it that way. But we're living in a cloud world, and we see that a lot of the applications are shifting from on-premises to cloud applications, to SaaS applications. Another thing to talk about here is that a lot of cloud applications IT isn't aware of, and we can ask ourselves, is that an issue that our employees have a Dropbox running or a Google Drive? And maybe it's not much of an issue that they have it running, but we don't want our corporate data to get in their private SaaS apps, of course. We're talking about shadow IT here. This we can pick up with MCAS. We can monitor it. We can see which SaaS apps or which apps are on the devices. We will get the data from Endpoint Manager, of course. And we can then evaluate, will we allow the app, will we sanction it or unsanction it in our organization? That's one thing that we can do with MCAS. For example, what is MCAS? MCAS is a cloud access security broker. And it's something that a lot of organizations and enterprises are really investing in at this moment. Like the slide says, by 2020, it's already last year, 85% of large enterprises will use CASPs, and that's also what we're seeing in the field now. What are some top CASP use cases? Like I said, we will discover the cloud apps, assess them. Will these cloud apps meet our compliance? We can govern the discovered apps, and then we can decide, will we sanction them? Will we unsanction them? We can monitor them. There's a lot of stuff that can be done there. This is one of the use cases that we can do with CASP. So take care. How does it work? We always start with the discovery, the traffic logs to discover our cloud apps. And our cloud apps will get a score, but I'll show you this in the demo later also. Once we have discovered the apps, we can evaluate them. Are they risky? Are they not risky? Will we sanction them, tag them, or block them? There are a lot of app connectors that we can integrate with Cloud App Security. I'll show you that also. And there's also the conditional access app control feature, which I won't be showing in this demo tonight. Discovery of shadow IT, it's a whole process, but it's not that difficult, and I already talked a little bit about it. We're going to discover it. We're going to identify the apps, understand the levels of risk, the risk levels of the apps. Going to evaluate compliance of them. Do we want them? We're going to analyze the usage. How many people are using these apps? Is it worth allowing them with a risk? Will we just unsanction them and not allow them? We will manage them, and we will continue monitoring. And the circle will go around because there will be more and more apps popping up, of course. The discovery slide, I'm going to skip here, and let's dive into the demo. Okay, so the first thing I want to be showing you guys, like I said, a lot of organizations, that's what I've been seeing lately, or governments or cities are buying the E5 licenses for a certain persona, mostly C-level IT, the high-risk people, but they only assign the license and they think that their people will be safe, and nothing is more true. So if you have Intune already running for your device management, it's really easy to onboard your devices into Endpoint Manager. And how will we do that? Let me see if I have the good one. Yes. In your Intune dashboard, and Intune we can always reach to endpoint@microsoft.com. We will go to tenant administration. We will go to the connectors, and there we have our Defender for Endpoint connector. If we want to connect Defender for Endpoint with Intune, it's really simple. We're just going to follow the guide here. If we click here, it will open the security center. I don't have a license here. This is an empty tenant because I can show more here, but it will be a guide that you go through and nothing more. What we'll be choosing there, we will be choosing our region, our data retention, for example. And the Microsoft Defender platform will be spinned up in the back. It will take a few minutes, a minute or 5, and we will get in this dashboard that will be completely empty. Is it connected with Intune now? No, it's not connected with Intune now, so we're not finished yet. The first things we're going to do here is go to settings and to advanced features. And I'm going to go over all these settings in a bit. And if you spin up an empty security center, Defender security center tenant, you will see that a lot of these will be flipped off. One of these is the Intune connection that we can see here. So if we want to connect Defender with Intune, we're going to flip the switch and we're going to save. That's all we're going to do. Once we have done that, this view will come like this. The connection will be enabled. And how can we enroll our devices in Endpoint now? And it's really easy. We just say what we want to enroll, our Windows devices. We want to enroll them, and they're going to be enrolled in Endpoint Manager. Will there be any data in there yet? No, because we're going to have to create a configuration profile also. So don't forget that. First, we're going to lay the connection between the different systems, and we're going to make the configuration profile. How can we make a configuration profile in Intune? And also really simple. We have 2 options here, and I'm going to tell you my preference. Microsoft is investing a lot in this new feature, not so new anymore, but a lot of. And we have here endpoint detection and response. And if we create this policy, there, Windows 10, of course, we will create it. We will give it a name. I'm just going to type in something. And these are the settings that we will enable. This will be empty. This all above here. Once the connection with Defender is okay, we won't see this part. We will only see these 2 settings. And we want to send sample sharing for files and the telemetry, expedite telemetry reporting frequency on yes. This will send all the data to Defender, and 24 hours later, you will see that Defender will get populated and your devices will be showing data. This is one option to do it here. I don't recommend doing it here yet. Why? I'm using a lot of these features already in endpoint security, antivirus, disk encryption, not firewall I use, attack surface reduction rules, and account protection. But there are 2 features I'm not using here yet, and that's disk encryption and this one, because I'm seeing a lot of issues with it till this day. So I recommend you, if you're going to do it, you can also create it here, devices, configuration profiles. It's the same profile we're creating, but it works better. Let's say, templates. Here we have Defender for Endpoint. You can give the child a name again. Go on, and you'll have the same settings. Again, this part here won't be visible once the connection is, once the link is there between Endpoint Manager and Defender for Endpoint. We're just going to put two on, save it, and deploy it, and the data will get to our devices. So this is one thing. That is how easy it is to get devices in Endpoint Manager with data. But because our devices are onboarded in Endpoint Manager and there is data there, there won't be much happening yet, of course. So let's go back to the Defender plate. Another thing here that I forgot to say in the beginning, if we spin up this tenant admin, if we spin up this guide to connect it, to create our Defender for Endpoint dashboard, which won't be working here, you will see that he's going to securitycenter.windows.com. And that's the link from Defender Security Center or Defender for Endpoint. Take care that there is also a new link now, security.microsoft.com, where a lot of the Defender features, like Defender for Office 365, Identity and Endpoint, are bundled in one portal. So this will be easier. I'm still getting used to this one. I'm using them both, but it's there. So know that it's there. So let's go over the settings now. Data retention is something that you choose when you spin up your instance. How long will I keep my data? You can send email notifications, of course, if there are alerts. Who will be informed of the alert? For vulnerabilities, the same. So this is something that I advise you to set up. You can integrate Power BI. I'm not going to be talking about this now. Advanced features. Like I already said, a lot of these things will be put on off. Try to put them or flip the switch to on for most of them if you want. Otherwise, you won't get all the functionalities. You can see all the integrations are here. So we can integrate Intune, but not only Intune. We can integrate our Microsoft Secure Score, Azure Information Protection. We can integrate Cloud App Security, Office 365 Threat Intelligence, Defender for Identity. So all those different platforms, they integrate together if we flip the switch. Tamper protection is an important one. Tamper protection prevents from tampering against our security solutions so that they can change our security settings through scripts or whatever. This is a feature that's live a few weeks, I think, or a month tops, before we could flip the switch here to put tamper protection on organization-wide, which I recommend you to do. We could also deploy it with a configuration profile. We can do it easier now, and we can just flip the switch here. Custom network indicators is an important one. If we're going to be talking about MCAS in a bit, and we're going to unsanction apps with a simple click, some prerequisites have to be met for it to be working. I had an organization where I went to this week, and they had MCAS running, and they unsanctioned apps, but all the apps were still working. And they asked me, Tim, we are unsanctioning the apps, but they still work. How does it come? But they just flipped the switch here. It's not enough, but I'm going to go over the whole process in a bit. So my advice here, put most of these features on, all right? Auto remediation is also really nice, but this only works if you're working with device groups. So the first that you will do is create device groups. So I'll get back to this in a bit. I told you about the new portal. You can automatically make it redirect to the new portal. I didn't do this in my tenant yet because I'm still used to the old one, but you can do this organization-wide, right? Then we have device groups, and here you can create multiple device groups. There are some scenarios here that you can use, and I'm going to be talking about a few maybe. You can see here that I created a production group. And how does it work? The automation level, I want everything fully remediated. This is my demo tenant, so no worries here. And how do I populate my group? All my devices that start with switch will be populated in this group. So if you have different naming conventions for devices, you can create different groups. If you don't have that, but you still want to create different groups, you can also tag a device with a tag. You can create a tag. I've used this before in some scenarios. We had a customer before who wanted to use the powers of Microsoft Defender for Endpoint to do some web content filtering based on some personas. So C-level could see anything on the internet. Let's say the administrative people or workers there could see a lot, but not Facebook and that, and they had different levels. So we tagged the devices with the different levels, and that way we could then, and I'm going to skip immediately to here, create some web content filtering here based on those device groups. So that's a solution that you can use. It's an easy spam filter or an easy web content filter. I'll show you what you can block, for example. So adult content, download sites, peer-to-peer sites. It's pretty logical. And if you say that you want it blocked and you save it, you won't be able to go to those sites in this group. Yeah? You can just select your group here. So I created different groups based on tags. I tagged the devices, and you can automate that with logic apps, for example. And I created different web filters here, and those were happy. It was something that they were already had. They had the license, so they were taking use of it. So this is a feature that is nice. What's also good, so the device groups, I told you, you can create different device groups based on different criteria. The name, the domain, you can tag them, or you can select an OS. Yeah? Once you have a device group, you can also configure automatic remediation. And if you have a Defender up and running in a small organization, I can only recommend you to do that. Like my production group, you have different options. This is my demo tenant. Take a notice of that. I fully remediate my threads automatically. Let's go on. Custom detections, no alert suppression. Web content filtering, I told you about. All right, some things I want to show you here that are also nice. If you go to device inventory, we will see all our devices that we have onboarded. You can see last 30 days, this is my active devices. I had more, they're not active anymore. If I click on my device, let's make it load. You can see here, we have the alerts open on my device. That's from my tests from an hour ago. We have the timeline, what happened on my device. You can see those flags here. Something was happened there. Yep. But what I want to be talking about here, if my browser want to work. There it is. The security recommendations. If the demo gods are, yes. This is very powerful for me. Why? It gives you all security recommendations on how you can make your device even more safe or safer. And you can see that there are a lot of them. I'm going to be showing 1 or 2 examples, like this one here. We want to block Office applications from creating executable content. So it's advising us to set this up. What is the cool thing about this here? If we open the full recommendation there, we can here click on remediation options, and it will tell us what to do to remediate it. So it's pretty easy. It says here we want to do this, and it says ensure that Microsoft Defender antivirus is turned on. So you can, with real-time protection enabled, we can configure that through Intune and enable this ASR rule in block mode using mem. How can we enable this ASR rule? If you click on it, you will go to the docs and it will tell you what to do. But the ASR rules are, of course, a part of Intune, and they are really easy to deploy. And this is also a part of endpoint security that I'm going to walk over now. If we go to attack surface reduction, ASR rules, we can just create them here. So you select your platform. We're talking about ASR rules, attack surface reduction rules, and we can create them. You give the child a name. There, and you will have all your settings here. What can I advise you to deploy this? Definitely, but don't deploy it in block immediately. Make sure you do it in audit mode first for all settings, deploy it organization-wide, and you can, after a while, run a query in MDATP to see what you can block and what you cannot block. Yeah? But this is how easy it is to deploy it. So you can see this here. This is one of the examples that I was going to show you. Let's find another one now, another security recommendation. Let's go back to my device. There we have it. Security recommendations. And you will see that for every recommendation that we get, I've shown you an ASR rule, but we can also like say this one, open the full recommendation, remediation options, and it will always show you what to do with the registry, with Microsoft Endpoint Manager, or with a group policy. So you have all you need here to configure it and deploy it, at least. So what is my advice? If you have it, go over my steps, flip all the switch, make sure you connect all these features together, create device groups, put auto remediation in order, and follow up on your device inventory. Here, what you can, with security recommendations, what you can do to make your security on your devices even more secure or more secure. Yeah. There are a whole lot of them, like you can see here, and it will only make your secure score higher or better. Let's say it this way. This is the Defender part. I'm not going to be talking about the rest of it. If you want to know more about it, be aware that there are ninja trainings. We have a Defender ninja training from Heike Ritter, I think. That is awesome. There's also an Mcas ninja training and a Sentinel ninja training. So make sure, be aware that they are out there on the internet for free. So if you want to know more about all these features, I'll advise you to dive into that. But let's dive into Mcas now as a demo. So this is a new dashboard, like I said, where it integrates all. This is Cloud App Security, the dashboard. First thing here that I'm going to show you is the same. We're going to go to the settings. And it's the same here. So if we go over all these settings in an empty tenant, not everything will be connected. So the first thing that you're going to do is dive into the settings, go over them. Yeah. I'm going to like Defender for Endpoint. Like we want to block unsanctioned apps. If we don't flip this switch and we unsanction an app, it won't be blocked. So make sure this is here okay. But like here, Defender for Identity, we want to integrate it, the data integration, Azure ID identity protection. You can all flip those switches and integrate those products together. What I'm going to show you in Mcas in a specific scenario tonight is how we can block apps, unsanction them, and I'm going to demo you that it will be blocked on network level and not just in Edge by Smart Screen. So if you want to set it up, I'm not going to go over the whole Intune config because it's not that difficult. I have a blog post about it. It's from a year old, I think, that will go through all of these settings. So if you want to play with it, just go to my blog, go to the post, follow it, and you will see that it's pretty easy. MDATP, like I said, network indicators, and we're going to connect it. In Mcas, we're going to block the unsanctioned apps. And if you go follow it, you click on unsanctioned app, and it won't work already here. So we have to, in Intune, we're going to push some settings. We want Smart Screen to work, but the most important one here is that we'll want cloud protection, send data, and our network protection has to be on. But you can read the blog on your own time on a chiller level. Let's dive back here. What is Mcas, or what can we do with Mcas? First of all, we have the Cloud Discovery dashboard, where you can see a whole lot of information in one dashboard. The discovered apps are all the apps that are imported here or are discovered through Defender for Identity, Defender for Endpoint. So you can see here that they get a score. Of course, the Microsoft have a high score. How is this score based? And you will see that Microsoft will give the score through flagging some compliance like ISO 27001 or other stuff. You can see that these are all green, but let's put the score backwards. Let's see here, Proximus. Too far. The dashboards are slow. Yes. So let's try it again. Discovered apps. I'm gonna flip the score. Click on it. You can see here why does CNN get a back score or a bad score. And you can see here it just doesn't have any compliance it regulates with. Security is not that high. So this is how Microsoft is giving these scores to their discovered apps. Let's say that we want to block an app that hasn't been found yet, but we want to block it already. We can go to the Cloud App Catalog, and here will be a whole lot of apps. You can see it here, 70,000 and that much apps. For demo purposes, I've already blocked 2 of them. Twitch, category not good. Which is just a gaming platform, so. And I also blocked Dropbox. There. Just how did I block it? We just clicked here on unsanction, and through the configuration I already told you that you can find on my blog, we can just block it with 1 click. What will this do? If an end user now goes in Edge to Dropbox.com, it will be blocked. Defender Smart Screen kicks in, of course, Microsoft product, Edge is a Microsoft product, so we won't be getting there. Okay, let's just open Chrome and it will work there, no problem. But nope, it won't work here also. You don't get a smart screen error, but if we go here to the toast notifications, we can see that this content is blocked by our administrator. And this is Mcas kicking in. But what is even more neat, we can't access it in our browsers, of course, but I have the installer here. So let's run that installer. There. And you will see that this will also get blocked. So he won't be getting to Dropbox in any way possible. So the power here of Mcas is that it's blocking on a network level to the configuration that we have made. And it integrates with the 3 products. So we have Intune, which pushes the configuration, which onboards the devices to Endpoint Manager, who will be blocking it, working together with Mcas to block it. So that's a really neat product. And this is just the tip of the iceberg that I'm showing you guys what you can do with Mcas, of course. Let's go back to the catalog. This is the discovery part. So you can find a lot of information here. Make sure to play around with it. We can also investigate user accounts, files. Let's go over it. But one thing I still want to show you before my session ends is here we have policies and templates. This is also really powerful. If you start playing with cloud app security, I can only advise you to look at these. There are a lot of built-in policies that you can just enable that will spawn alerts that are easy to activate. There is also a templates catalog that you can easily activate. Let's say that we want an alert when someone downloads more than 50 downloads within 1 minute. We can just follow the guide here, follow it. What do you want me to do? Create an alert, send an email, we'll create it, and the rule is created. And it will spawn alerts. So this is what I will be showing you tonight. I have one little last thing that I want to show you. We also have Sentinel. I'm going to be talking about Sentinel, but I'm just going to be showing you one thing that you have to know. All these incidents here are spread through different dashboards, the Defender dashboard, the Mcas dashboard. Sentinel is not a cheap product, but if you are smart, you can use it for some stuff for free. What can I show you here? We can centralize our incidents in Sentinel from Defender for Endpoint, from Defender for Identity. And if we ingest just the incidents, not the logs, it will be a free service. So make sure that you know that and that you can use it in a cheap way also, Sentinel. How can we do that? I'm just going to be showing this as last demo for today. First of all, we want to connect Mcas and Defender, of course. So we're going to be talking about the connectors again, and how I'm going to be showing you how easy it is to connect those. It's again just a flip. The switcher will be flipping. Let's go to Mcas, for example. Cloud App Security. If you start with an empty Sentinel, this won't be green here. The green means that we are connected, and you can see this here. So we will have a gray one with Cloud App Security. You can open your connector page and you can follow the guide here. So like I said, if we just ingest the alerts from Mcas, Defender, it will create incidents for us if we want, and it won't cost us a thing, except for the logs, the log storage. Keep that in mind. But the Sentinel service of ingesting the logs will be free. So this is also nice to know. If you want your IT to have a dashboard, a simple dashboard, it's good that you can use Sentinel also to connect all these features of Microsoft into one product. What's cool of Sentinel is that you can add actions to your incidents. But like I said, if you want to learn more about this, think of the Ninja trainings. There are 3 Ninja trainings or even more. There's a Sentinel one, an Mcas one, and a Defender for Endpoint one. So this is my session for today. I know it was not a lot of slides and a lot of demo, but I really enjoyed it. I still have some time for some Q&A. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to hear them.
Yes, hello, team.
Hey.
Hey. Question regarding the security recommendations in the security center. I've noticed that some recommendations are actually set, but that Microsoft does not detect them. So, for instance, you can set some settings in Intune with a Umayuri setting, but then in the security recommendations, they do not detect it, and that's a bit annoying, let's say, because your customer thinks that it's not fixed, but actually it is. So, do you have experience with that as well, or?
I haven't experienced that yet, no. So I'm not going to be able to give you some advice on that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. That's okay.
Jeroen, you're talking about Sentinel there, I think, the Defender connector in Sentinel. Yeah, right. Yes, it's in preview for some things, not for all things. If I go back to Sentinel, let's share my screen again. Sorry, I've closed it too fast. They are bringing out more features from Defender soon to integrate with Sentinel. So if you go to data connectors, and we go here to Defender. Down. You can see that it's in preview. Why? There, because not all features are enabled yet, and you will see this here. That these are coming soon, and we aren't able to enable them yet. I'm not sure if that's what you meant with your question.
Yeah, well, I saw that there was a separate connector, Defender for Endpoint, and then there's this one.
Defender for Identity.
Yes, so there's like many different. So this will replace the general one on top. The 365 Defender will replace
I
the other
can't
one.
say that, but I think they will bundle them all together. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like that because you saw it in the at the
Yep.
side blade. You saw the check marks that were available.
It's true. It's true, but it's true. You have a point. Yes. Any more questions? Okay, then I will say thanks for listening to my ramblings. And let's drink a beer now.
Thanks for rambling.
Your PC didn't crash though.